Hi, I'm Steve, the introverted traveler. I've made it my mission in life to explore the beaches, deserts, mountains, and even cityscapes around us, and to do so while avoiding contact with as many people as possible. And although I will never hang out with you for any reason, I do invite you to join me on my journey. Come and see the world through the eyes of an extreme introvert. On this edition, we are hiking to the summit of Kings Mountain in the Tillamook State Forest of Northern Oregon. Along the way, we will wander through the thick woods, climb steep trails, encounter a picnic bench that was possibly constructed through child labor, and take in the breathtaking views at the summit. All this and much more on this Introverted Travels.
Greetings, and I'm back yet again on yet another adventure. And today, well, today is an oddity. Why is it an oddity, you might ask? It's because today's not Sunday. No, wait, now I know I just blew your mind. I know that literally your brain just went and there's pieces of that and skull stuck in the wall, but it's okay. Get a brush, get a dustpan, and get some duct tape. Put your brains back in your head, glue your skull back together, and just listen to me for just a second. Today, drum roll please, is Friday. Now, why am I out on a Friday and not a Sunday, you may be asking? Well, it's because, unfortunately, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and about 9 to 10 months out of the year, the Pacific Northwest is literally just a sponge full of water that someone has lifted up and is wringing out over, the entire area. And that's a really dumb metaphor for me to say that it's going to be raining. I just didn't feel like going out in the rain, and so Sunday's supposed to be sogged with rain. Guess what? There's a big ball of flame, like right up there. Big ball of flame. It's behind a cloud because, again, I'm in Pacific Northwest. But I didn't feel like hiking in the rain in the first rain of the season. I need to get acclimated. Remember, I'm a delicate being. I need to get acclimated. I need to realize that it's raining, and then mid-November I'll start venturing out. So it's probably the last sunny day for a couple of years, and I said, hey, I'm going to go hiking. I have the time. Let's go hiking. And hence, you get a Friday hike day instead of a Sunday hike day. Where am I? Let's get to that part of the formula. I'm on the Kings Mountain Trail in the Tillamook Forest in Western Oregon. How long is that hike, you might ask? Well, according to All Trails, and this is the part where I make fun of All Trails, it is supposed to be a 4.5 mile hike, 4.5 miles round trip. But according to the trail sign I saw at the trailhead, the peak of this mountain, I'm on a peak, I'm going up a mountain, and I'm going to see there's beautiful things up there, and then I'm going to turn around and come back down. So according to the sign, it's actually 2.5 miles up and thus 2.5 miles down. That's a half a mile difference between the actual sign and what it says on All Trails. Now, you might be wondering why that is. Well, it's simply because All Trails sucks. That's where I am. That's how long it's supposed to be. But what about the meat and potatoes of the video, you might be saying? Well, when I got to the trailhead, there were 2 other cars, just 2. And they were normal cars, 4-door cars. So introverted math, 4 people per car times 2, that's going to be 8 people total on this trail. But there's side trails and other trails and different routes and all sorts of things. So I literally may be on this trail by myself. And I was thinking to myself, wow, it's great to be here on a Friday. There's not going to be anybody else. And then a minivan pulled up. Now, I don't know if a lot of you are aware of what a minivan really is and what it really means to an introvert. It is basically the clown car of the vehicle family. A minivan pulls up, those doors open. There may even be 4 doors. There may be 2 in the front and then 2 sliding doors. And you think, okay, well, maybe 4 to 6 people. No, you can cram like 25 children in there. I've seen it happen. Those doors slide open and it's like Vegas odds. There's grandma coming out, grandpa, extended family, cousins, 15 children, babies. I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to minivans. So I honestly could not give you a proper estimate because minivans are like a black hole of ugh. That is to say, I got to the trailhead, I was momentarily happy, and then the universe is like, why do you even bother being happy? Here's a minivan. Oh. That's where I am today. That's how many people may be out here, literally infinity. When minivans are involved, we are talking numbers that have not even been invented yet. So far I'm alone, but you know it's not gonna last. Even for a Friday, they're gonna find me. But that's where I am. That's what I'm doing. It's the day I'm doing it. And we all know that all trail sucks. And the existence of people sucks, but especially the existence of minivans suck. Here's my update. There's absolutely nothing going on out here. And thus, there's really not anything to update. So, of course, I'm going to turn on the camera and tell you there's nothing to update and, bore the crap out of all of you. But that does illustrate kind of a, I don't know, catch-22, a conundrum. I don't know. I don't know what the English language uses to describe me in general and the situations I find myself in. But on the one hand, there's nobody out here. I'm alone. And because I am, of course, an extreme introvert who's a little weird, just a little bit off. I love the fact that I'm alone. I mean, it's quiet. I have my solitude. It's just me and the trees and whatever Bigfoots might be out there and the weird soulless children that live in the forest but seem to be leaving me alone at the moment. And, of course, my wonderful, warm, beautiful GoPro that I talked to all of you on. So I'm happy about that. But as far as being a content creator and making videos, I don't know. Do any of you want to see this? I mean, there's literally nothing going on. It's an empty forest full of, Bigfoots and weird ghost children. And nothing is manifesting at the moment, so it's completely boring out here. And that's difficult for me as a content creator because, as I've said before, I tell the story of what the trail is doing, what it's showing me. So basically the trail tells the story. And today, trail can't be bothered. It's early in the morning. The trail doesn't really want to get up. It hasn't had its coffee yet. I mean, yeah, it's awake. There's that weird bald guy with a GoPro walking it, but yeah, it doesn't really want to make the effort today. So, yeah, there's your update. I'm meandering through the woods. Wow, what a big shocker. For the two of you who watch my videos on a regular basis, because you're either stoned or incredibly bored or both, you'll know this story. Meandering in the woods. Nothing going on. Trees and leaves and bark and blah, blah, blah. But hey, at least the minivan crisis seems to have been averted. And at least I have peace of mind and solitude. And thus, love and happiness in my heart. I mean, there's a silver lining in every dark cloud, folks. And just because I'm in the boring content void that is the middle of the woods, doesn't mean I can't be happy. Just means the rest of you get to be incredibly bored. So, congratulations. Aren't you glad you clicked on this one? Seek from the forest and ye shall receive. Because I just made that other segment talking about how boring it was out here and how I'm just meandering through the boring woods and blah blah blah, stuff I'm always saying. And I'm going up an incline, I'm huffing and puffing as usual, and all of a sudden out of the bushes comes a fearsome giant furry predator. I think it was a golden retriever, or it may have been like a mix, like a lab retriever type mix. But all of you people in your paranoia about cougars and bears have prepared me for the worst. So, I'm all prepared to meet a cougar and to, fight it in hand-to-hand combat. My heart has been, prepared for that. My mind has been conditioned for that, and I'm ready for that. I don't know what to do with a golden retriever mix other than go, and I did. Hi, Poppy. He was ahead of me on the trail, came up a slope, and then he looked back down the slope, and I didn't realize there was another one down there, and there was a hiker with him. Well, of course, with introverted math, 2 dogs means that they canceled out, the soul-crushing presence of that other hiker. In this case, it's the only other hiker I've seen, so it wasn't terrible, but it was another hiker, so it was horrible. But yeah, the 2 dogs canceled out the 1 person, and thus I just saw 2 random golden retrievers wandering through the woods. And I just wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I'm not going to do hand-to-hand combat with a golden retriever. I might do like a long pet session and scratching behind the ears. So yeah, that's my update. I'm planning hand-to-hand combat with a bunch of golden retrievers out here, but they're golden retrievers, so I don't actually have to do the hand-to-hand combat. That's the big news out here. I'm meandering through the woods. There's not a lot going on, but there's random dogs popping out of the bushes. I'm not going to complain about that. I like random dogs popping out of the bushes. It's when random people start popping out of the bushes that everything goes off the rails. But yeah, that's the big news. That's the update. Congratulations. I'm going to keep going up the trail. I'm going to see what other animals pop out of the bushes. Maybe I'll get a Labrador. Maybe I'll get a poodle. Maybe I'll finally find that elusive trail Shih Tzu that I've been searching for like months. You never know out here. It seems to be dog roulette. Let's go up King Mountain and see what it has to offer. So far, boredom and dogs. But I'll take the dogs, and I'd rather have the boredom than the people, so I'm really just conflicted today. But yeah, there's your content. I've made content about golden retrievers jumping out at me at the bushes. What award-winning content this is. That's more like what I'm used to. So after I filmed that segment about the vicious rabid golden retriever mix that jumped out of the bushes and tried to eat me, tried to rip me limb from limb, and I literally had to single-handedly karate chop it back into submission. Totally made that up, but that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it, for now until I make something else up that's equally dumb and outrageous. But after I made that video, I went up a little bit, and all of a sudden there was another hiker. He passes me and says something like, "Oh, this is a hard hike, isn't it?" Small talk. Do you people understand that small talk to somebody like me is literal torture? And I know a lot of you are going to be like, "Oh no, small talk, that's just a social protocol. That's what people do. That's completely normal. Oh, hey, you're an asshole because you don't want to small talk." To somebody like me, forget about waterboarding or putting bamboo under fingernails. If you really want to get to me, you'll put me in a cage, put a chair in front of it, and sit down and try to tell me about your day and how many siblings you have. It is literally like taking a steel rake, slamming it into my skull, and scraping across my brain. I don't need to know that you think it's a hard hike. I don't need to have any little chit chat. No. I stay in my house 6 days a week for a reason, because I'm trying to avoid torture like that. Small talk literally should be declared an atrocity of war. Forget about covering me with napalm and getting a flamethrower. That would be great. That would be a walk in the park compared to having to talk to you about your job and your life and I just passed a sign that said viewpoint 60 feet, so I decided that, even though I'm incredibly lazy and often bored, that 60 feet wasn't too much to ask for. So I decided to come over here and, yeah, there's a little bit of a viewpoint, but there's like pine trees in the way, and another pine tree in the way, and a third pine tree in the way, and there's these pine trees in the way. There's just a bunch of pine trees in the way over here. But what I can see is pretty cool. I have no idea what direction this is. I know that right in front of me, that's a mountain, like right there. That's right there, that big thing with a bunch of trees on it, the rocky thing. That's a mountain. But aside from that, there's not much to offer. Yeah, there's a viewpoint 60 feet, but it's only kind of a viewpoint. It's a wonderful viewpoint if you want to look at the pine trees. Pine trees are beautiful, but yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more, but I think there's going to be some at the summit. Now, it's getting steeper and steeper, and that's what the reviews on all trails says, and it's also what I've heard from other people who've done this trail, is it gets pretty steep towards the very top, and then you're at the top and you're like, ooh, wow, it's steep up here, and then you go back down and complain about how steep it was. But it is getting steeper. Now, what I will tell you is one of those reviews on AllTrails was so angry about the steepness that the guy started ranting about how the trail was designed wrong, how it should have been switchbacks instead of just a straight up and down, and how horrible that is, and blah, 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 blah. And all I can really do is, refer him back to the viewpoint that's full of pine. He may be able to relax if he realizes that that is a beautiful pine tree right there. That pine tree, gorgeous. But yeah, let's go figure out if the trail really is constructed wrong, and then maybe I'll make a rant about how it needs to be a switchback. But yeah, I got some views, but let's go see if we can find some better ones. Okay, so I'm not quite to the end. I'm just about to the end, and I'm yet to figure out where this incredibly steep trail people are talking about is. I mean, it's steep, but have you been to the other areas around here? Have you ever been to a volcano? So far, I haven't seen the steep, but I'm not quite there yet. So I may be eating my words in a minute, but I do want to mention there's a picnic bench here, and apparently it was, according to the etching on the side of the picnic bench, it was an Eagle Project Troop 299, which basically means that in order to get this hunking giant table up here, they would have had to bring it in piece by piece. So basically it was a bunch of adults that got a bunch of child labor to haul up huge giant pieces of picnic table. I mean, they weren't paid, so don't worry, the labor laws don't come into play there. It's okay to have your children hauling up giant boards on a mountain as long as you don't pay them. If you don't pay them, there's no child labor. It's just, it's just volunteerism. But yeah, apparently this was an Eagle Scout project. A bunch of kids brought up pieces of a picnic table. And now, of course, I'm aiming the GoPro at the picnic table and making some ranty video about child labor. I swear, I really need to get a life. I mean, it's beautiful up here, but holy crap, I need to get a hobby where I'm not doing whatever it is I'm doing. But I'm just about to the very, very top. It just happened to be a talking piece, and I figured, I'll take a break and talk about child slave labor and picnic benches. But yeah, almost at the top. But so far, I'm looking for this deadly steep trail everyone was ranting about on AllTrails. I haven't seen it, but really, it's AllTrails, and the only thing worse than AllTrails are the people that use AllTrails, because holy crap, they're drama queens. But let's see if maybe I'm going to eat my words. Let's see how the very, very end is. But so far, if the Eagle Scouts can labor up a mountain with like giant boards and picnic bench pieces on their back, I think I can make it. Well, apparently I made it to Kings Mountain Summit, and I think the 3226, I think that's in feet, so 3,226 feet. We passed the 2,000 foot mark not too long ago, so it's a little bit of a climb, but it's just like any walk you take in Oregon or Washington. I mean, yeah, I went up an incline, but why all the drama, AllTrails? I mean, seriously, people who make comments on AllTrails, you guys are a little bit of drama queening. Because that wasn't bad. It was okay. I mean, it was difficult, but it wasn't going to kill you. So yeah. So aside from the idiots on AllTrails, I made it to the summit. I don't know what the hell this thing is. I'm sure there's letters or treats or dead bodies or something in there. But this is almost identical to the marker we saw on Elk Mountain, which, by the way, is around here somewhere. I don't know. I don't even know where I am. I know I'm in the woods, and that's about it. But my sense of direction. I'm terrible at it. But here are some views. Once again, I see mountains. I see haze. I see more mountains. I see trees. I see a little bit of fall colors down there, but we're probably talking Douglas firs, and those don't change for the season. So yeah, I see geology and geography. I don't know. I'm not one for views. I mean, views are okay. Yeah, they're pretty. You can look at them and go ooh and ah, but you can only do that for so long. I'd rather go and talk about the summit signs some more. I mean, what can I say? There's trees. There's mountains. Ooh. Ah. Pretty. All right, I think I've had enough of oohing and awing. I can only take about 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm headed back down the mountain. But yeah, it's nice up here because there's no people. Oh, it's so nice to have no people. But unfortunately, I'm gonna head back down and probably encounter people. So, ooh, let's go. Well, we're back to the 60 feet viewpoint sign that doesn't really lead to a viewpoint, but check this out. So if I take you over here, just bear with me for just a moment. Okay. We were up there, right there, right where my finger is. And now we're down here. Again, at the 60 feet viewpoint that is just a bunch of trees and a little bit of viewpoint. But yeah, it was all the way up there, right there. And now we're down here. And actually, you can judge how steep a hike is based on how it is to come down. I mean, going up a steep slope is not that hard. I mean, it depends on the angle of the slope, but for your average steep slope, it's just not that hard. Coming down, though, will tell you exactly how hard it really is because, well, you're going down and gravity goes that way. But so far, no, it hasn't been bad at all. I don't understand the comments on AllTrails. I mean, either they say something that's really hard is super easy, or they say something that's really easy is super hard, or they just panic about cougars. I don't know. It makes no sense, but the app makes no sense anyway. But nonetheless, we were up there, and now I'm down here, and I'm making good time. You know, for me, I'm like scooting my little turtle body really quickly, going as fast as a turtle can, which, you know, to normal human beings isn't very fast at all, but to me is like turbocharged. So shut up, I'm going fast. But yeah, this is where I am. Still stuck in the damn woods, but that's like every hike. And this is what I'm doing. So I'm gonna make my way back to the trailhead and thus make my way back to my car. And then I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I mean, it's Friday. I have better things to do than rant at you in the woods. You know, I gotta go home and edit my videos of me ranting at you in the woods. All right, so according to the ground zero of stupidity that is AllTrails, I have just a little over a mile left on this hike, and thus just a little over a mile until I'm back at the trailhead, and just a little over a mile until I'm back at my car, until I get into my car, and till I get the hell out of here. So I think it is time for us to do our trail rating. We rate our trails on a 1 to 10 scale, with 1 being the worst possible scenario for an introvert, and that is Disneyland on the 4th of July, a day in which a dark cloud of black magic covers the entire land of Anaheim. Lightning strikes the top of the Matterhorn, and like little devil demons fly out. Mickey and Minnie and Goofy transform into weird versions of themselves. So of course Goofy's like, what, is Goofy a dog? I don't know. He's like, he walks Pluto, doesn't he? So it's the dog walking. We won't get that deep into it, but basically all hell breaks loose. The tourists are screaming, their children are screaming for expensive toys and, you know, candy. There's popcorn flying, there's stuff exploding, there's noise everywhere, there's people, there's chaos, and there's carnage. And of course, that is what I would call introvert hell. Introvert Nirvana, on the other hand, aka Introvert Heaven, is the other end of our scale. It's a 10, and that is equal to the middle of a field in the middle of summer, so it's nice and warm, just way out in Antarctica. No one around for hundreds of miles except for you and a genetically modified, sentient, intelligent, and very bloodthirsty, except for you because you're their leader, army of trained penguins. These penguins will keep you safe, they'll keep you quiet, and they'll protect your solitude. I wish I had some trained penguins now. Trained penguins that could eat all the other hikers. That's like a dream. But unfortunately, I have to continue living in my nightmare and fantasizing about, an army of trained penguins in the middle of a field in Antarctica, which is a 10, and as I said, is introvert heaven. So, given that incredibly weird and frankly getting kind of idiotic scale, this hike I will give about a 7. Unfortunately, I am not completely alone out here. I saw some people going up. I got attacked by some frothing, rabid golden retrievers that came at me and tried to destroy my jugular. That totally didn't happen, and I love dogs, and golden retrievers are awesome, but I'm going to pretend that it did happen just, to spice it up just a little bit. But unfortunately, those golden retrievers were attached to a person. I saw some people coming off the summit. I saw some people going to the summit, and I've seen at least one person going up as I've been going down. Now, you'll say, well, that's only like 4 or 5 people. That's 4 or 5 people. Are you freaking kidding me? So, unfortunately, I have to bring the grade down. But overall, I've had a lot of solitude. I've had a lot of silence. I've had a lot of self-reflection. The insanity has been able to bounce back and forth in my brain without any restriction whatsoever, and it's been beautiful. So that's why this trail gets a 7. That brings us then to the misery index, which is a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being a complete fantasy, complete fiction, and that's no misery whatsoever. And we know that I'm always miserable to one degree or another. It's just impossible for me not to be miserable, because look at me, I am misery personified. And the scale tops off at a 5, which is the worst possible misery you could ever imagine. And for those of you who do actually watch my videos, the very minute amount of you that do, you'll know that I'm constantly smashing that scale to bits, and I'm usually way beyond a 5 into numbers that I just make up because math hasn't invented how miserable I can be. Today, however, it hasn't been too bad. My default usually is around 2.5. I think I went up to a 3 when I saw people, and that was about it because I only saw them for a minute maybe, and then they were gone. It was a minute too long, but still, in the grand scheme of other people, it wasn't terrible. So I'm just going to say on average I've been about my default, which is about 2.5. So overall, the trail rating for today is a 7. The misery index is a 2.5. This has been good. Now, I'm here on a Friday. That means I'm not here on my usual Sunday, because it's going to be like Noah's Ark out here with, animals lining up 2 by 2 and rain everywhere. But this experience might be a little bit different. But I always encourage you, if you decide you want to come out here, come out at any of these trails that I do, come out in the middle of the week. It's a way different scenario than, 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. But that's okay. I'm just going to call this trail pretty good. It's not terrible. It's fairly short. I think I'm only going to put in a total of about 5 miles at the end of all this. But you get some exercise. You get to see some views. They're kind of lame, but they're up there. You get to see that wonderful summit marker. And if you're unlucky, you might see some other people, but hopefully not many. Hopefully you can just hope you don't see the people, but you do see the golden retrievers, because golden retrievers are awesome. I love those golden retrievers. I mean, I'm just kidding about them being rabbit. They were cute. Right. So according to the abomination of nature, that is all trails, I've got about a 1/4 of a mile left in this hike, and thus a 1/4 of a mile left to the trailhead, and a 1/4 of a mile left until I'm back at my car. So unfortunately, it is time for us to say our goodbyes. But before we do that, let's do a quick recap. So today I did the trail up to the summit of Kings Mountain here in the Tillamook State Forest. in Western Oregon. I don't know. I'm near the cheese factory. So I'm near the place that makes cheese, the Tillamook place. This is not a forest of cheese, but I'm near the place where cheese is produced. So the Tillamook forest. And along the way, well, yes, we did encounter people, but I encountered some fluffy golden retrievers that I claimed were rabid and terrorizing me, which were really just cute, and I wish I could have petted them, but there was a person there, but there were 2 golden retrievers. So introverted math, there were just 2 golden retrievers. So we also got to see some of our usual dense forests. We got to see a bunch of mushrooms because it's fall and apparently it's also mushroom season. And at the very top, we got to see some pretty cool views of the other mountains and of the smog and geology and geography and whatever else was out there. But it was kind of cool. But alas, it is time for us to say our goodbyes. And it is time for me to say to all of you, stay introverted, everyone. And of course, I'll see you in the next adventure.